Hello, you are welcome to Business Law 1 class. Today you look at Section 6 of Unit 4, Discharge by Breach, Session Objectives. By the end of this session, you should be able to explain how contract may be discharged by breach, state the types of breach. Let's now discuss. Normally, when we talk about breach of contract, we're talking about a situation whereby a person or one of the parties to the contract has failed to perform his or her side of the contract. Now, discharge by breach simply means that once parties or one of the parties has failed to perform his side of the obligation in the contract is deemed to have come to an end. Therefore, the parties will now be discharged from their future obligation as far as the contract is concerned. Now, when there is a breach of condition, a breach of condition is one way in which contract may be discharged. And in that case, we are saying that when a party breaches a condition in a contract, it constitutes a discharge by breach. It means that the other party, the innocent party, is relieved from his or her obligation. In that instance, the innocent party has the right to repudiate the contract and sue for damages, because condition is a major term of the contract. Therefore, a breach of it allows the innocent party to repudiate the contract and sue for damages. However, when there is a breach of warranty, it only entitles the innocent party to sue for damages alone and continue with the contract. So, a breach of warranty cannot discharge a party from his or her contractual obligation. So, a breach of warranty cannot constitute discharge by breach. Now, there are two types of breach. We have the anticipatory breach and we also have the actual breach. Anticipatory, let's start from the actual breach. Now, the actual breach is whereby parties have entered into a contract. A particular date has been set for performance. Now, after the lapse of the time or that particular date, if the party or any of the parties fails to perform his side or her side of the contract, then that one constitutes an actual breach, that you have failed to perform your side of the contract. For instance, you enter into a contract with someone to supply you 3 bags of cement within 2 days. After the 2 days, if the person fails to supply you with that 3 bags of cement, that constitutes actual breach. Now, we also have anticipatory breach. Anticipatory breach, this is whereby the time for the performance is not due, but the conduct or the expression of the person indicates clearly that he or she is not going to continue with the performance. For instance, Amma and Kofi have made promise to marry each other. Now, Kofi has presented certain items to the family of Amma, indicating that he has the intention to marry Amma on a specific date. Assuming that 3 weeks later, Amma sees Kofi having wedding with Abba before the time set by Ama and Kofi is due. Now, the fact that Kofi has engaged or having wedding with Abba means that there is no way Kofi will marry Ama. In that case, the breach here constitutes anticipatory breach, in that the time for Kofi and Ama having their wedding, which is the promise to marry, is not due. But the act of Kofi, that's getting married to Abba, indicate that there is no way Kofi will get married to Ama. And in that case, there's what? Anticipatory breach. Kofi has breached the contract even before the due date. Now, as I indicated, a breach of contract entitled the innocent party to maintain an action for damages. You should also understand that the right of a party to treat a contract as discharged arises only in three situations. We have renunciation, that's where a party fails to perform his side of the obligation, or after entering into a contract, one of the parties write to the other party that is no more going to continue with the contract. That constitutes a renunciation of the contract. So read the case of hostile dilator. It will give you insight of how renunciation is done when you enter into a contract and you communicate or your conduct indicates that you are not going to continue with the contract. You also have the breach of condition. A breach of condition, we are looking at where you breach a major term of the contract. A major term of the contract. Also read the case of Forsad v. Spears. It will give you more insight. Now, as you learned earlier, condition goes to the root of the contract. So a breach of condition of a contract, that's a major term of the contract, goes to the root of the contract and therefore entitle the innocent party to sue, to rescind the contract, and as far as suing for damages. Now we also have fundamental breach. This is whereby one of the parties breaches a serious innominate term or totally fails to perform his or her side of the contract. Remember, innominate terms we discussed in our previous meeting that these are terms which the effect will determine whether it is a condition or it's a warranty. So where the breach is very serious, then we treat it as condition. Where it is minor or the effect of the breach is minor, then you treat it as warranty. You should understand that anticipatory breach does not automatically brings. You should understand that anticipatory breach does not automatically bring the contract to an end. So once there's an anticipatory breach, the contract is still valid, or you presume that it still exists. Now, an innocent party has two options. One, he may treat the contract as discharged and bring an action. So the first option for the innocent party is to treat the contract as discharged and bring an action for damages for breach of contract immediately. So you read the case of hostile dilator. So once you see the indication that this person is not going to continue, then you rightly take an action. You set aside a contract and sue for damages. Or you can also elect to treat the contract as still valid and complete your side of the bargain and sue for payment by the other side. So here what you are saying that even though the person has breached his side of the contract, you go ahead to perform your side of the contract. For instance, if a company has entered into a contract with a radio station to make an advertisement concerning their product, then for a particular period of time, the radio station has started making the announcement or has started the advertisement. Then the company write to the radio station that don't continue. Here, because the radio station will not need the assistance of the company in performing its terms of the obligation in the contract, that's the advertisement. The radio station can still go ahead to make the advertisement till the end of the period that was stated in the contract and sue the company for payment of the work that they have done. So you read the case of White and Carter v. McGregor. In this session, we explain how contract may be discharged by breach. We further explain the two types of breach that we have. Thank you and have a wonderful day.